Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to my comprehensive rating and ranking of all the Galactic Legends and Galaxy of Heroes. We have 10 right now. It's been almost a year since I did the ranking last, and it's always hard to know when to do a ranking, because when we have a new Galactic Legend come out, they've got a while where they're kind of untouchable from Datacrons to get propping them up, and I'm trying not to rank for PvP based on Datacrons. It's just going to take a while for Hondo to cycle out of that. We still have this, an overpowered one for him right now, but I'm going to try to see past that because I do have some experience facing and using Hondo without any Super Datacron. And let's just get into the criteria. We also have a new Galactic Legend probably around the corner now, so I felt like this was a good time. And we had these nerfs to Ezra and, what was it, Marin, so... that hurts Rey, helps Ahsoka, helps Jabba, all kinds of stuff. So it felt like a good time to do the ranking. My premise is for this ranking. This is not a prescriptive farm order. It doesn't mean the best character is the first one you farm and the worst is the last. Although the best might be actually the first one, coincidentally. It's not like a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 order. So that's one thing. Higher is better. So I'm ranking on a 1 to 10 point scale. If you get a higher score, that's better. It just felt easier than like a ranking of like, oh, this number 1, this is the first person. So it felt a lot easier to do weighted averages for it. Not all categories are equal. Each has a specific weighted value. So that means I have a multiplier for each category. Like TW doesn't have the same weight as Grand Arena, as Rise of the Empire, as Assault Battle, so on and so forth. And I'll indicate what the value of each category is on each screen. All Galactic Legends are presumed to have their best standard lineup, is how I put it, available for all evaluations, including lifters. I used to put except for Bane, but I think at this point, Bane and Sith Eternal is a much more commonly combined pair, and it really elevates Sith Eternal Emperor, whereas before I kind of thought of Bane as an exception because he's so good for his own team that you don't want to... It's still that case in a lot of ways, but there's so many tough teams right now where it's a lot more normal to combine them. So that definitely helps out Sith Eternal for this ranking. And when I say standard lineup, I'm just saying not totally like crammed all the best. Like you're not anticipating you have General Skywalker with Jedi Master Luke. Just kind of like a standard team. Like Jedi Cal, Jedi Luke are usually with Jedi Master Luke. So things like that. And last one. This is a subjective evaluation based on my own experience and observations. I did not have any guild officer input this time because last time it was hard to kind of calibrate everything. I had people weighing in for TW and TB they were a lot more friendly to like a rating of 1 or a rating of 10 and just really kind of spread out, which is not how I rate it. So it kind of threw things off. So this is all my own rating. I'd love to hear your thoughts. There's always plenty of disagreement. There's plenty of agreement, but there's plenty of things that help me evaluate and change this ranking next time I do it. And I've taken into account a lot of comments from the last time I did this rating. And here we go, starting with the most important category, in my opinion, Grand Arena. So we have 5v5 offense, 5v5 defense, 3v3 offense, and 3v3 defense. Each are weighted as a double weighting, so that's overall a weighting of 8 for Grand Arena as a whole, a rating of 4 for 5v5, 4 for 3v3, and then 4 for offense, 4 for defense, if you want to look at it like that. So very high weight, because I think this is the cornerstone of the game. I think a lot of people, it's the main thing, and even like the focus on TW is falling more and more the further away we get from the last time we had an update, which is like 5 years ago or something. The top reward category is 380 million. People are sandbagging all the time, so Grand Arena, yeah, very central. I'm not going to talk about each and every rating here, but we do have Hondo as the newest GL. 10 GLs, hard to fit in one screen for all the ratings, but we're making it work. So the standouts to me is Leia has the highest overall rating with 8.25, really solid offensive output. Same thing with Supreme Lord Kylo, and I actually have a number off here. There we go, fixed it. Leia's average is actually an 8. So Supreme Lord Kylo, Leia, and Hondo are all tied at 8. Supreme Lord Kylo and Leia are shining through on offense with a 9, and then on defense, I think each of them do have a 7 in each of the modes. If you build a Leia right, it's pretty easy to stop most of the counters. She single-handedly carried me with a tiny undersized roster to Kyber 2 very briefly, Kyber 3 on Go Tanks. Supreme Lord Kylo is pretty much the answer to most things. If you have his right team, you just go in there, take care of it. And then on defense, I think 7 is they're pretty good on defense. It's just not commonly used. Whereas Hondo, I gave an 8 for every category. I think he's pretty threatening on defense if you give him the right comp, whether it's 5v5 or 3v3. And he does have a pretty good arsenal for attack to clear things. Although I don't think it's supreme like Leia or supreme leader Kylo Ren. Rey took a pretty big hit. I used to have her with 9s for defense. Now she's a 7 because she doesn't have Ezra to use anymore. She's got Ben still, and she still, can put together a lot of good stuff. But she lost Ezra and she lost Satele before that. She would have been like a 9 or a 10. It was insane. But she's just kind of decent. I gave her similar offensive ratings because if you do bring her on offense, you can get a decent output. It's just people are so used to bringing her on defense. JMK has kind of fallen off a bit. I really didn't give him a good defensive rating because in any given season, Balin is just a hard counter, and if we don't have a huge data from propping up Balin, that's massive value. So it's just something you don't really see JMK on defense anymore, at least in Kyber 1. And that kind of paints my perception. Also, I draw on my mid-game play with Go Tanks, but that's usually like not super competent players, and you can beat them a lot less if you know what you're doing. So the Eternal Emperor, really weak defensive ratings, only beaten by JML. But Supreme Lord Sith Eternal Emperor actually has I gave him some really high ratings for offense. He's really dragged down by his defense, but if you assume he's got Bane there with him, you can take out a whole lot of stuff. In 3v3, that's probably the most potent because there's way fewer things that can actually stand up to you. You can 2 out of 3 enemies, and it's 2 on 3 versus 2 on 5, so it's great. Ahsoka, pretty strong. I gave her an 8 on defense. I don't think she's amazing, crushing people, but you do really need to have the right stuff. Jabba, he's not really excelling in PvP. He's got a decent overall. But I think 3v3 defense is probably his best because it's reduced to his core team. There's just way less that can handle it, whereas 5v5 Afra is a much bigger option these days. And Lord Vader just really solid. I think 5v5, he's kind of hurt from the lack of a really solid Omicron. You got Scorch's Omicron, but in 3v3, I think he shines a little bit more with the CX2 Omicron, so he's capable of handling a lot more stuff. JML is just really the weakest out of the bunch. Kind of sad to see. But yeah, this is Grand Arena. Next, we got TW, and I'll be the first to admit I'm not an expert on TW, and I did change the weighting. I had been using, up until this point when I do these videos, a double rating for each offense and defense. Right now it's reduced to a 1, and I already kind of touched on reasons for that. A big overall thing that's always been the case, you only have 4 TWs a month, whereas for Grand Arena you have 9, and it's either or 5v5, 3v3. Both equal importance because they happen equally as frequently, but people aren't playing TW as much. The top guilds are going at it, but we have some of the biggest guilds like Claw Patrol just completely tap out of it. They used to be just the dominant guild in it, and they said, all right, we're done with this. We don't need to worry about it anymore. Still one of the biggest guilds, just don't bother. And there are TW guilds that take it really seriously, but I really just... it's not that the value isn't there. The juice is not worth the squeeze. You get a few droid brains, you can scrap for them automatically. The only real huge value in it is Datacron reroll mats, and I think it's kind of crazy that that's the only way you can get those level 3 reroll mats. But anyway, that's why the value is going down. It's affecting the final score significantly less. And I have the overall TW score at the bottom here, weighted between defense and offense, and also overall PvP. This is averaging in TW and Grand Arena together with weighted average much higher for Grand Arena. So the highest for TW right now I have is Ahsoka. I do think she is the strongest TW team. It's pretty easy to see. And the biggest difference between DW and JC is Omicron. So we're just kind of assuming we have all the applicable Omicrons. We got Sabine and Hera, or General Syndulla, whatever. Their Omicrons are very difficult to work around. You definitely need... It doesn't take much to boost them up even higher with even a generic Datacron at level 3. So you need really specific stuff to handle them. Otherwise, you're toast. Leia and Hondo are both an overall 8, but for different reasons. I have Hondo at a 9 right now. I can't say for sure how he's going to be when you don't have like a Vayncron or a specific pirate Datacron propping them up, but it has been a huge problem. The most common full hold situation I've seen is Ahsoka and Hondo holding there. Ahsoka, I think of her as just a little bit better on offense because there's all that ramping, and I don't know, you can take out tons of stuff. It's just kind of arbitrary. It's a coin flip. It's 2 Omicrons for 7. I don't know. Leia, I gave her a 9. It's just there's more things you can handle. You're not Omicron dependent with Leia, either in Green Arena or TW, but there's just she always has a chance. Jabba kind of middle of the pack, 6s both ways. Sith Eternal Emperor, you still have the option with Bane on offense, so that's why he's better on offense with a 5, but I don't know. I really can't tell if there's any really good defensive comp for Sith Eternal in the very tip top of TW. I'm not in those circles. JML's kind of got a similar rating. You can eke some stuff out with him on offense if you bring a full squad. Supreme Lord Kylo, pretty good answer to most stuff. Lord Vader, with the 8 and 7. Rey, not really doing it on offense. You miss out on a ton without the Omicrons for Ben Solo, because she does have a lot of cheese availability for offense in Grand Arena. An okay defense. You got the Fulcrum and the Cal Omicrons. They really juice up Leia, so she can hold up against a lot more stuff. And then overall for PvP, top to bottom, we have Leia and Hondo tied at 8s for Grand Arena plus TW combined, followed by Ahsoka at 7.9, Supreme Lord Kylo at 7.8, Lord Vader 7.5, Rey at 6.9. JMK is really falling. Like every time I do these rankings, because they have so much new stuff come out that's just geared around him, like shutting him down. But by far the lowest is JML. So I hope this rating really hammers home the point. JML does need a conquest lifter. He needs some kind of help for his team, not just for Green Arena or TW, just for anything. Because he lost kind of Giant Knight Revan, and that's why I kind of worded things as your best standard team. He lost Giant Knight Revan to Satele in most cases. For anyone that does have Satele, it's kind of an easy call to put Revan with her, unless you get to a point like you're towards the end of Grand Arena, you have both available, you might push them together. But that's a lot. You can't use Ezra with him anymore, so he is really feeling it. We don't have anyone in the 5s, and then there's just JML at 4.6. I like JML. I really enjoy him. He's just, I can't really find as much of a use for him in Kyber 1 anymore. But Sith Eternal really got in the game. Kind of with just me evaluating with the lens of like, Bane there is a legitimate option. It's not crazy to put a Bane with Sith Eternal anymore because the board is just that compact. And that is PvP. And now for PvE, this is looking at Conquest, Rise of the Empire TB. Raids, I just wanted to put it there that doesn't count at all. It used to count. I don't count raids at all anymore because it's just faction locked. Otherwise, it would be Hondo 10, everyone else 0. Assault Battles Plus. So this is like any kind of resource, event that you get for having the Galactic Legend that's factoring in. Assault Battles is kind of like, do you have an assault battle available to you? The worst for this is Rey, because there's no resistance or Ufu assault battle, so she doesn't help out with anything there. But to minimize the impact, I did give her a 4 for that, because you could use her in side stuff. I guess I just didn't want to give too much of a massive penalty for that. We got people like Lord Vader can do Empire and Sith. He has a 7. I don't know if anyone else can do double like that. But if you have at least an assault battle available, I gave a 6 if you're helping out with that. Yeah, Leia she got a 7 because she can do an assault battle, plus she has her own little resource event. And the point was made last time I did this, the difference between Leia and Jabba should not be 1. Because Jabba, yes, he does. He has an assault battle plus his smuggler's run 2. I think that is significantly more valuable than Leia's event. Leia's event is kind of crap. Like, it is really, really minor. And with the economy changes we've gotten in the past year, it makes it even more minor because the lower relic materials are not valuable at all. You get like 1 Omicron, that's the biggest thing. Whereas Jabba has great mods. Ahsoka, she got a 9, pushing 10. It's kind of like how you choose the definition. She doesn't have an assault battle she can do specifically, but there is Peridia Pals, the Peridia Patrol. That group is part of her requirements, so you get that done. It's really nice. So that counts for that. And then we added her own special resource events, which bumped her up to a 9, kind of like Jabba. Hondo is the only one I'm giving a 10 to because, and if I did this a few months ago before they add the R9 tier, he probably still would have gotten a 9. But you get so many mod materials from Hondo's Smuggler's Run 3 with him at Relic 9. It is just no comparison. It is amazing. So he got full 10, full credit for that. Just incredible. Rise of the Empire TB, I used to have it as a 3. I put it as a 2 now just because I think people are getting a little tired of TB. Not that they're not getting tired of Conquest, but the value is way more there in Conquest. Like, some of the best cutting-edge characters, it's a must to stay up with it at the end game. So I do give Conquest a higher amount. It is an individual thing. TB, you can get some good rewards. If you don't have Riva, rewards are great. If you need lots of Chirotech, or if you need a lot of Get 2, the rewards are great. But if you're really endgame, I'm kind of apathetic to it personally. You get a pittance of extra crystals for each level you get up. You don't get any additional Get 1 or Get 2 for the normal reward crate after a certain point. You do have all the special missions, but even from those, the returns, I'm kind of sour on. I mean, I don't love... I don't have any huge, I'm not clamoring for Get 2 and the Get 3. We need to be able to buy larger quantities of shipments with that. But anyway, that's why we have the waiting there. Rise of the Empire TB rated ×2. This is incorrect. I need to change that number on Java. There we go, that's better. I just wanted to see if you were paying attention. Someone had already probably typed out, what are you doing in Java 6? The argument has been made, Java should get the 10 in TB. And I do agree. Since last time I did this rating, I joined a guild that does Hoth TB. So I have done the entire Rise of the Empire all the way up through the middle, doing every mission with Jabba. On Hoth, he is easy money. On, Vandor is the first R9 planet. It's kind of a struggle. It's an annoying mission, but he can do it. He is easy money all the way up through. He has a required mission. And he handles it very well. If you if you have his real team, it's just easy. But he can do it by himself, so he does get the 10. We got a bunch of 9s. We got Hondo, Ahsoka, Leia, and Lord Vader. This is assuming Lord Vader with clones, of course. After getting Hondo, these guys are ones I feel the most confident in. Throw him in. Auto, it's just amazing. Anywhere I put Hondo, Ahsoka, Leia, or Lord, it's easy money. It's automatic. So it is just phenomenal. JMK and Supreme Lord Kylo, slightly lesser extent. JMK, I can't auto with him everywhere. There's times where I need to babysit him, make sure you do the right stuff, and you can be kind of vulnerable if you're not being careful. Supreme Lord Kylo, mostly amazing. He could be a 9. It's really kind of a toss-up to me. The only weak point is, like, when you're losing turn meter, you're losing hit points, and you got Darkseid Ray really helping things out. So I mean, he's borderline 9. I don't know. I just can't use him absolutely everywhere. There's places where I really feel the need to use them manually, so I just gave him an 8. So the Eternal Emperor, JML, and Ray all get 7. With Sith Eternal Emperor being, gets the tiebreaker in my opinion. I think he's pretty good with all the Sith tanks. Give him Malgus, Malak, he can do a lot. JML, pretty solid too, although struggles against certain types of environments. Days is a real killer if you don't have a cleanse for it, and whatever. Ray's pretty solid. Highlights to Zepho. So I don't think anyone's really bad in Rise of the Empire TB. So they got pretty decent ratings, with the lowest being 7. Conquest. My standout in Conquest, and this is where the only place he really shines a lot, is JML. Gave him a 9. I also gave Leia a 9 just for competence. The value for most players in this game mode, I think, is just getting wins without any losses. And I do think Leia is better than Rey. So Rey is good at getting some feats. There's a lot more protectability for the team. But there's just a lot less of a potent engine going on, combined with like how Conquest works with data disks, and again, souped up stats for teams. So she's just a little bit lower there. But JML, amazing for getting kills with certain characters as long as they're light side. He's a tank. You can throw the tank tech on him if you want to Frankenstein a team. It doesn't have to be Jedi's calling to assist. It can be any light side unit. So it's really useful for getting feats done. And, you know, there's generalistic feats that persist across. Like, there's always going to be something where, like, get kills with this guy, survive with this newer character or crappy character people don't have. But in general, the highest value in Conquest is just getting through and not dropping anything. So I do think on a similar plane, we have JMK, Lord Vader, Ahsoka, and Hondo. Any of those teams I can throw in, I'm pretty confident they're not going to lose somebody. If they do, most of them have ways to recover. Or Hondo has a way to revive. Well, maybe not most of them. But they're just super durable. Leia has a way to, like, get people back. Ahsoka, you know, the only reason they're not like 9s is because you're not going to get tons and tons of feats. Leia, another reason I gave a 9 to is because she can have a surprisingly wide range of factions on her team, like droid kills. And she can get a lot of different debuffs. So the droid kills, you got like 3PO and Chewie in there, R2D2. They always do droid stuff. So that was actually present of mind when I was doing this rating. Jabba is pretty decent. I give him a 7 because you can't control getting kills in a lot of ways because the bombs blow up and you'll get credits for those feats. But I mean, he is really strong. I mean, he's not terrible. Supreme Lord Kylo and Sith Eternal Emperor are the lowest. Supreme Lord Kylo just because he has a hard time keeping his allies alive. Sith Eternal because he has no way to like counteract like getting outsped at the beginning and punched in the face really fast by these Conquest teams. So he's just kind of low. He's not terrible though, but they're all kind of decent. So average all that out together. The PvE king, and huge thanks to Assault Battles for this, is Hondo. Second with an 8.85. Second, we got Jabba 8.43. Again, their added mod events front and center there. Ahsoka and Leia 8.28. Lord Vader is sitting at an 8. JMK 7.43, or JML's a little bit higher, 7.57. His Conquest performance pushing him up. Supreme Lord Kylo and Rey are tied. Rey's pulled down by her. Well, actually, this doesn't look right. Oh, nope, it is right. Check the spreadsheet. They're each 6.57 just because Conquest is weighted higher, and that's where Rey's high score is. So, yeah, it just kind of evens out 6.57. So they're tied. That's kind of fitting. They're two sides to the same coin. The first two GLs, dark side focused, light side focused. Rey's better at keeping people alive, but she just doesn't have the added value and stuff. Sith Eternal Emperor coming in at the lowest here, which isn't too surprising. He flourishes more in PvP compared to PvE. He's not like amazing in PvP, but he is pretty good. So he is earning his stripes a little bit here and there. And this is the final category, acquisition. So we got ease of access, requirement quality, and accessible team, all double values. Last time I did this, I had conquest unit dependence, but that didn't fit everything I needed it to, because we had someone like Lord Vader that didn't need a conquest unit anymore, but his entire team had to be farmed after you get his requirements. So he didn't, like, if it was just conquest, he'd get like a 10. So change that category. Ease of access first. This is where Hondo and Ahsoka do the worst. I gave them each a 2 because they each need a combination of Relic 9s, Relic 8s, Journey Guide unlocks prior, like General Skywalker, conquest units for Ahsoka. That's kind of a one-of-a-kind thing. Or close to it, at least. So really low there. Lord Vader is a 3. He requires a lot to unlock, and just kind of the accessible team is bleeding into this a little bit. Just not super great. He has some of the highest gear requirements, highest relic requirements after Ahsoka and Hondo, which is surprising because he was the 6th Galactic Legend to be released. Jabba 7, Leia 8, and both of them were easier. JMK is kind of middle of the road. Jabba and JML, kind of mid-tier. The only reason JML and Jabba are 5s is because they require Jedi Knight Luke, who requires a lot of his own relic units, and they require by extension, Millennium Falcon, which requires a bunch of bounty hunter ships. So that is, a difficult part to it. Supreme Leader Kylo and Rey also require a lot of ships because they need their capital ship done. But they also require a lot lower relic levels, and they require fewer characters to unlock, including no legendary. So I just gave them a 7. It's kind of hard to like compare all these because it's somewhat apples to oranges in some cases. JMK, he doesn't have really bad requirements except for like Wat Tambor's in there and Negotiators in there, which is like it could be easy or hard depending on how you're trying to start out the game. Like to me, it seems really easy, but to other players it might be hard. But he doesn't have crazy high relic requirements, so he's not too bad. So the Eternal Emperor is by far the easiest. I gave him a 9 because he needs like a really easily farmable ship. He requires like the least amount of relics, and they're not hard farms. So I just gave it. He gets the highest rating. Like the ships are what killed Supreme Lord Kylo and Rey, even though they still get a pretty high rating. And yeah, that's all of them. Requirement quality. I think the best requirement quality is Ahsoka, because you just have some pretty strong groups across there. You got the Pretty Boys. You got a bunch of Ahsoka Tano prequels. Hondo is up there, so like the second rating I have is 7s. I don't know, maybe Ahsoka is just an 8. I don't know. But you get most of her team along with that too. And then Hondo, Jabba, Lord Vader, Sith Eternal Emperor, all got 7s. I think they all have pretty solid requirements. JMK I bumped down to a 6, and Leia I bumped down to a 6. Because they got some good stuff in there, but they do have a lot of stinkers and a lot of outdated units. Like just things that used to seem really great, but they're just not so much anymore. Jango Fett comes to mind with JMK. He's not a bad character. He's just not like a huge catch. And then Leia, there's a lot of kind of riffraff in there. Ewoks and so not trying to elevate Leia so high with that. JML is decent. Jedi Knight Luke in there is really solid. And then you get Millennium Falcon and bounty hunter ships as a part of it, even though it's harder to farm. Supreme Lord Kylo and Rey. So their ships, like the capital ships, both kind of on the crap end of capital ships and fleets. And also the thing, for Rey, at least you get 2 viable teams. You get a Zori team, and then you can get, I don't know, stuff to go with her. Maybe not as big of a differentiator now because you don't really run resistance with Rey, but you can make 2 teams if you want. Supreme Lord Kylo, not really 2 viable teams. I mean, if you want to run a Phasma team in TW, like low tier TW, I don't know if that's useful anymore, but he just got a 4. So we had the worst quality requirements because it's basically the whole First Order faction. You get Palpatine in there, which is nice, which is not why it's not like even lower, but it's just not that great, not that impressive. Ahsoka, I mean, I guess could be an 8, but still probably the best requirement quality. And that accessible team category, we got a couple 10s. This is Leia and Jabba, because you can use them right out of the box with their requirements. No additions, really. That's using Boba instead of Embo with Jabba, who I think is just great. I mean, Embo gets a TW Omicron, is going to edge it out, but I think he's just, you don't need any extra. Same with Leia. You run Drogon, R2. You can use Captain Rex and 3PO and Chewie. That's a phenomenal lineup. So she gets a 10. Neither of them even have a Conquest unit, so pretty great for them. JML, I gave it an 8 because you have most of a team you can run with him right away. Jedi Knight Luke and Hoda. Revan is not too hard, of course. Like if once people start getting Satele more, endgame players pretty much all have Satele. But like he loses Revan, and you do need Jedi Knight Cal, who is not that hard, but it is an extra farm. So I gave him an 8, so he's not like a 10 with Leia and Jabba, and he definitely got a hit from the change of the category from just conquest dependence. We got some 7s with Hondo, Lord Vader, and Supreme Lord Kylo. So Supreme Lord Kylo, I do think can hold his own pretty well with just his requirements, and then his Conquest unit lifter is a lifter. Like he was still really strong offensively before we got Darkseid Rey, but she just elevates him so much. Rey, you can't say the same. With her team, you really need Ben Solo as a Conquest unit for like bare viability. Resistance Hero Finn, Resistance Hero Poe, not really getting it done. You need outside farms for it. Hondo, I almost gave him an 8 because he doesn't truly need a conquest unit, but his best lineups do involve SM33, who is a conquest unit, so he does need that. But if you want to run an OG Hondo lineup, leave SM33 on the bench. You can do it, and it's great. So he gets a 7 instead of like a lower rating like Ray, because he has an amazing team with his requirements. It's borderline 8. Ahsoka gets a 6. She's close. She's 4/5 of the way to her full team just from her requirements. But unlike Hondo, who can really just hold his own and get top quality lineups with using OG Hondo instead of the Conquest unit, Ahsoka is entirely dependent on Ezra for her top performance. But I do think I would take Ahsoka without Ezra over Rey without Ezra in general. I think you can get a lot of stuff done. So yeah, and then JMK is kind of in the same boat. Really needs Cat for true viability, but you can put together a decent team if you just use Galactic Republic Jedi or GK Ahsoka. Really easy to get Padme. You can get some of his value. Borderline 5. I don't know. So the Eternal Emperor. On one hand, he has very accessible teams because a lot of the times it's just 2 people like Watt, an armorer, or just him and Bane, but he does really want Bane. So I gave him a 5 because without Bane, he's really just weak and lackluster. So overall for acquisition, the best rating goes to Leia. Not too surprising. Second best to Jabba. Third, we got Sith Eternal Emperor, which is really where his strong suits and actually being able to get him, followed by JML. Then Supreme Mark Kylo, we have a 6. We got a tie, JMK and Ahsoka at 5.67. Oh, and Lord Vader 5.67. 5.6, the 4-way tie, 5.67 for Rey as well. And then we have Hondo. So Hondo is bare, like, complete bottom of this. He's the last GL to come out, so it's kind of understandable that it's so low. But yeah, 5.33 there. So that's it. Now, the only thing left is to see the final rating and ranking of all these GLs together. And now it's time to crown the king or queen of the galaxy. First, we got at the bottom, Jedi Master Luke. The first time Sith Eternal has not been at the bottom. JML has fallen on some rough times. They keep coming out with new teams that he cannot handle, and he is most often the GL I just leave completely on the bench. Don't find a use for him. If I do have a Galactic Legend in that situation scenario, he's lost Jedi Knight Revan basically for his main team. You can't use Ezra with him anymore, even though that wasn't a huge consideration. Just fell a little bit behind Sith Eternal Emperor, who's at 7.05. Actually, big difference. And Sith Eternal got big bumps in PvP this time around, just because I was assuming he had Bane for his full rating, and that's quite a viable team, at least on offense, not on defense, which still keeps him low. JML's still got value, and Conquest is really where he shines. But I don't think the difference is that huge, because you can actually kind of lose a lot with JML and Conquest. Next up, we got Rey. Rey is falling. 7.10. She is barely ahead of Sith Eternal Emperor. That's because I don't really know what the future holds for Rey after the Ezra nerf. That was the cornerstone of her on defense. I mean, Ben Solo is like a bare minimum. Her acquisition is not great. Her PvE is not, stellar. So she was really falling. She was top 5 last time, I think. But yeah, she is really, really coming down. She's a victim of circumstance. JMK, 7.29. He's fallen again as well. Used to be, I had him as top GL, like when I started doing this ranking, and he was tied a little bit, or like number 2 for a while. They've made counters to him to kill his defensive viability. They've made teams that he can't really beat. And, there's just people that outshine him, and he doesn't get a big resource event and he's kind of hard to get because you need Watt and all this kind of stuff. So he is really falling in the relative ranking, and it's shocking to see him 7th overall, bottom 4. Crazy. Rounding out the bottom 5, Supreme Leader Kylo Ren, 7.62. I definitely feel Supreme Leader Kylo Ren is better than JMK in every way at this point. With Darkseid Rey, he's more viable on offense. He's more well, maybe not necessarily viable on defense, but he is a powerhouse. He's easier to get. Just fantastic. Supreme Leader Kylo is like the answer to everything team. And he's just a juggernaut. Next up, first in the top 5, we have Lord Vader. I think last time I got accused of ranking Lord Vader too high, and I do think I was a little bit tainted. It was hard to see through because he got his clones last time, and I think the Conquest unit category or Conquest dependence category helped him. But I think 7.86 is fair. I am afraid of him on defense. He's someone you need to plan around. If it's like a well set up Lord Vader, he's very competent in PvE. I have no fear for him when I throw him in there in Conquest or TB or anything. So really strong. Definitely deserves the top 5 spot. In number 4, we have Mr. Jabba. 8.04, barely cracking the 8 ranking. Huge value in getting him. He's relatively easy, just accessible out the box. So he's a great early farm, and mods are more mod materials. I mean, fantastic. So he's really great. The only way he kind of struggles is he's less viable against his other GL compadres. But he's just really, really useful overall for an account in the account building phase. 8.14 for Ahsoka. Really mainly hurt by accessibility. Really strong in PvP. PvE, pretty awesome too. No weak points except like needs Ezra, who's a Conquest unit. But she's got her new resource event too, so that gave her a boost since last time. She is 3rd. 2nd, Hondo or Leia. Hondo or Leia. I don't know. What do you guys think? Leia has been the king of the hill or the queen of the hill forever, and she will remain so. So we got Hondo with an 8.29 and a Leia with 8.67. And Leia did get a bump down on her overall rating since last time, just because of the way I arranged the categories and, the interplay among teams. Hondo heavily bumped by his mod event. Just amazing. He's very competent, but the next time I do these ratings, very well could be we have a year or so of no Datacron dominance, but it's hard to sift through the noise because I am only ever facing really well set up Hondos and using one on my own, but I do think he's just very competent in PvP. PvE is pretty, like, he's a team where there's like nodes in TB, like I'm thinking the Haven class against the Sortie. He's the only one that can do it for me, like the only one that comes close, so he's just really strong in a lot of ways. 8.29. He's not, but this is where I was saying it's not a prescriptive farm order. I would not start as a new player, get Leia, and then go for Hondo and Ahsoka. They're like the hardest to get. I would go Leia and Jabba, and I did. And then JML's, he's the lowest, but he's got a lot of overlap. I think Supreme Lord Kylo is a great early pickup. But I do think Ahsoka and Hondo are getting more easy to farm, so I do think they're not too far off. So definitely worth picking up for an account that wants to maximize their income, especially Hondo. But yeah, that'll do it. Let me know what you think of these rankings. I'm very happy with them. I don't feel like there's as much of room for like dissatisfaction, but I'd love to hear it. I can always get things wrong. I'm only one guy, but I'm doing my best. So love to hear from you. Thanks so much for watching. Hope you enjoyed.